Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Fresca. I'm from Grimshaw, and we're very excited today to share with you our design for Melbourne's newest supersized stage, not your everyday commercial project. There are two main parts of this project. The first is a large soundstage, which is a clear span black box building. It's an ultra flexible, quiet space for the purposes of facilitating screen-related activities. And the second part of the building, which is the annex on the right, is both the front door to the stage, as well as the back of house facilities, and accommodates the offices for the studio operations and film productions. The project is located northwest of the CBD at Docklands Studios Melbourne, and zooming into the precinct, stage 6 is located near the CityLink tollway, close to the Port of Melbourne docks, and below the surface sits silt or mush, which makes it a pretty challenging site, especially as this project needs to offer incredibly high structural loading capacities and an internal silent environment. The annex sits just east of the stage, facing the main thoroughfare of the studio precinct. On the ground, we can see the previous facilities built over 20 years ago. Externally, these are simple precast concrete forms, and the office spaces are quite standard. You can see though that colour plays an important role for DSM's branding and wayfinding strategy. And this was driven by the previous architect's master plan, where the colours are drawn from Warhol's portrait of Marilyn, and pink was the last remaining colour, completing their original master plan. The right image describes the previous reference design for this project, and it's important to note that this formed our brief and budget, and as well as the previous annexes we showed. So this formed pretty key constraints for us that we needed to work within. We had an absolutely stellar client team delivering the project, led by Development Victorian with DSM and Creative Vic. And after a competitive bid process, we emerged the successful lead consultant of a team with Arab, WSB Tract, and now Introva. A real testament to the success of this project, though, I think, is the relationships, collaboration, and open communication channels between all parties and the user groups became a real key dynamic of this project. And major credit for this outcome must go to the client team, and in particular the utterly dedicated ex-CEO of DSM, Rod Allen. Okay, onto the design, starting with the stage. The previous stages are still world-class facilities, and they served as great exemplars that the client was looking to emulate. So the key principles for the stage for us was about respecting the original master plan and constructing a similar style building, but with improved performance, mainly structurally and acoustically. And the dark barrel vaulted form of the existing stages is globally recognised and a key part of DSM's branding. So this was important to retain in the new build. And the size of the facility is such an impressive scale, it's really worth going down if you get the chance. Inside the stage, there's a large 72 by 51 metre clear span space, and above sits a 17 metre high gantry, which can host rigs, buses, aeroplanes, sets, and below the floor hides a 900 kilolitre pool, which you can just see there, for wet works. The stage itself has a multi-layer envelope to keep sound out, and the main material of this is called a Durra panel. It's a byproduct of the wheat industry from the part of the wheat that we don't eat, and it's grown locally and manufactured in Victoria. It's both manufactured and grown in Victoria, 100% recyclable, 100% compostable, and the facility's also achieved a net zero ready carbon status. Onto the annex. Although it's small, it is mighty, and I think the star of the show here. In working up the design, we thought it important to respect the precinct language, and we began with analysing its design principles, and colour, simplicity, and horizontality were key themes that we extracted. There are some key differences, however. This building was going to be the offices for DSM, high-profile film productions, and a significant increase in size and expectation from potential user groups. For a new 21st century building, we also aspired for much higher quality design outcomes and level of amenity. So in translating these existing principles plus our aspirations, this became a key diagram for us. Horizontally stacked boxes that opened up to create entry points and areas for outdoor amenity. Fins, they became an important part of the design and a key expression of the Annex. This was based on optimising solid performance, but also bringing a finer grain to the facade. We tested different spacing, angles and sizes so that we could try to reach a balance between reducing cumulative solar radiation, where we achieved a 36% reduction, maximising daylight autonomy into the office spaces, and also enabling key views to the city from key locations within the building. Effort went into simple detailing, which lets you appreciate changes in light, shadow, time and colour. There is also a varying perception of the building as you move around it, with interesting reflections emerging throughout the day. The simplicity, refinement and performance of the fins well represent the future of DSM and the building's identity. Moving inside, we enter into a triple height lobby space with an industrial palette. The stair becomes a key element in this space, with pink carrying inside, highlighting the main circulation route. Coming up the stairs, timber carve-outs form the office entry. We thought it important here to avoid a standard office fit-out, and we strive to achieve something that better represents this creative but still industrial sector. And we opted for a more pared back and robust palette. Inside, the fins filter the light beautifully and vary the quality throughout the day. Amenity spaces connect users to outdoors, and the internal and external pinks are perfectly colour matched. The build process went exceptionally well, and we were able to meet all project requirements while also achieving those high quality design outcomes, with no real substitutions during the build, and I think great work by Kane. This was also built during the uncertainty of COVID and the lockdowns, and is testament, I think, to a really rigorous and collaborative value management process we did before we headed out to tender, as well as our intimate design and client team dynamic. So for us, this project's been a really great example of the value of constantly advocating for better design outcomes, regardless of cost and time, which in this case, I think has resulted in something quite special, unique, and worlds away from the initial expectations. I hope you've enjoyed our presentation, and thank you for